Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the In Football We Trust podcast. It's your host, Mateo.
And I'm your co-host, Leon.
All right, what's up, guys? Yo, we just seen a ton of games this weekend, and the Thanksgiving weekend's been crazy. There's so many upsets, so many crazy games. Like, it's making me watch the World Cup so much. I've literally been glued to the TV screen watching these games. It's crazy. I'm hyped. But there been this funny video going on about Saudi Arabia's pep talk at halftime, which I think is pretty funny. And I mean, it worked because Saudi Arabia ended up beating Argentina in the end. But I want to know, like, Leon, what do you think of that? Because I thought that was hilarious.
Well, I think it was like a really, really funny video. It was like the French coach, right, talking in English to Saudi Arabian players so they can beat the Argentine team. If you can't get anywhere further on the globe than that. And it was just hilarious. And hey, in the end, it actually worked. Saudi Arabia ended up winning miraculously, and now each of those players got a Rolls Royce and a commendation from the prince.
No, I ain't gonna lie, like that pep talk was getting me hyped too. Like I was in my chair, like, yes, sir, I want to win too. Like it was getting me hyped. That pep talk was working too. But yo, like there have been some crazy games. I think we got to start off with Germany, Japan. Like that game was crazy.
It was absolutely insane. And it was insane to watch. It was insane. It must have been insane to play in. Such high stress. I don't even follow those teams super closely, but I was watching the whole game and I was really stressed out the entire game. It really had the emotion. There was such a young and hungry Japanese squad that wanted to win it. What did you see in that, Mateo?
I mean, I just want to talk about how Germany led the possession, 74% possession. They had 26 shots on goal compared to Japan's 12. They had 9 shots on target, which Japan only had 4. So this just shows how possession doesn't win games. Like you can have the ball for as long as you want, but that's not going to win you a game. Japan just plays. I love the way Japan plays. Japan just plays so
They're
well as a
hungry.
they're so hungry to win. Like the way they play just fascinates me. And I wish so many other teams played like them. There's no star. They all want to win. They just want to win. That's the most important thing for them. And I just think that the Japan team just inspires me so much. And it's just such a pleasure to watch the Japan team. And I like that I'm happy that they came off with the win.
For sure. One thing I want to point out is that we actually saw this against Belgium, I believe, in the round of 16. Unfortunately, in the 2018 World Cup, Belgium ended up winning that game after a miraculous 3-goal comeback after being down 2-0 to Japan. But Japan really capitalized in that game against Belgium 4 years ago. And they really did this basically against Germany, like Germany this time, right?
Japan, I feel like Japan is always gonna like. I feel like a lot of people don't take Japan so seriously, but I think Japan is always a nation to watch in the World Cup, and they might be able to
For
pass
sure.
Group C. Like they're looking good. They're looking good. Another crazy game that happened in Group C was Spain, Costa Rica. Like that was a huge win by Spain. And I'm gonna be honest, I did not expect that from Spain. I thought Spain was gonna go with an easy 2-0 win, 3-0 win max. Because I thought Costa Rica, they have Keylor Navas, one of the best goalkeepers in the world. He's not going to let that many goals.
Yeah.
But Spain is looking really good. And if they keep on playing the way they played against Costa Rica, they might be contenders for the World Cup. They have a young team. What only worries me is now, since they have a very young team, they don't have that much experience. They think they're the best now, and they're gonna go in the other, games being like, oh, we beat Costa Rica 7-0. We're the best. So that's one thing that worries me. But they did look really great. But Leon, what did you think about that?
Well, I think it was a really, really great win, keeping Costa Rica to 0 shots, and that is ridiculous. And I know Costa Rica has got a like very, very mediocre team compared to Spain's world class team, but really 17 shots to zero. Wow, and then 82% of the 82% possession to Spain was ridiculous as well. They really that was a total domination of the Costa Rican squad. And
Yeah.
I'd also like to talk about what you're talking about, where could this mean that they'll get overly confident, or does this mean that they'll realize that they have the potential to be something great, right? Does this mean that they'll get the morale boost, or will they get the negative morale boost where they'll think, oh, we're so good, we can do this to every team? What do you
Well,
think?
I think it all comes down to how they play tomorrow against Germany. I think we're gonna see Spain against some actual competition. I hope doesn't get to their heads too much. But I think Luis Enrique is a very talented coach that has a lot of experience and will probably tell the coach and will probably tell the players, yo, you got the win. But remember, stay humble. We still haven't won it yet. Let's not get a hold of themselves. And I think Luis Enrique, who was Spain's head coach, will probably do that. I trust him.
I agree with that. I think that there are a lot of young and hungry players. Hopefully, it doesn't get to their head too much, but there are also a lot of experienced and talented players who have gone through this before, who have gone through winning big and then realizing that they can't let it get to their head. Right? They got to continue just working hard, working their butts off. Right? Always trying to do the best, no matter who the opponent is.
No, for sure, for sure. I completely agree with that. But what did you think about Belgium, Canada? Because I do know there was a lot of controversy in that game, but I want to know what you thought about that.
Well, I think Belgium Canada is a very very great game to watch because Canada had a lot of chances. And Canada, I don't know, um yeah, they've never performed well in the World Cup. It's rare that they even qualify. But they managed to really get up the field a lot. However, they were not able to convert. They got a penalty. He missed a penalty, Alfonso Davies, which was
Yeah,
very
they
very
need to be better
unfortunate.
finishers. Like it was actually sad.
No
They,
finishing at
they
all.
could have completely destroyed Belgium,
They
but they
could
had
have.
such bad finishing. It was
Belgium,
actually
yeah,
hard to watch because they could not finish a single thing, and Belgium just looked so bad. I
they
mean,
looked weak, just
if
purely
if they
weak.
didn't have Courtois in goal or Kevin De Bruyne in the midfield, they wouldn't be going anywhere. Their attacker,
That's
Batshuayi,
why, yeah.
he is so bad. Like he's actually bad. And the refereeing that game was kind of weird. I mean, that referee was
Well,
is kind of weird, right?
yeah. Funnily enough, that referee is Jenny Sikazwe. And he actually refed. He's refed multiple international games before, and he refed. He's Zambian, but he refed the Mali versus Tunisia Group F, um, group stage game, the AFCON, the African Cup of Nations in 2021, and he blew the final whistle twice, and then like continued the game because he realized he screwed up, but like he blew it in the 85th minute and then he blew it again in the 91st minute with more added time to go. And really, like, I'm very surprised that he's been selected for this World Cup a year after making that mistake. And he claims that it was due to a heat stroke, but how do we know that he won't get that same heat stroke? He won't suffer from the conditions of playing in a desert nation like Qatar. Um, because that
Yeah,
is definitely a question that's risen before, that this might be a improper conditions to play football in.
yeah, that's mad weird. Like this ref, why did FIFA get him again? It makes no sense.
Uh,
But speaking about the African Cup of Nations, there's actually been a lot of controversy recently because Mbolo, a player from Switzerland, scored a goal against Cameroon, which is a country that he was born in and where his father's from. And I think that is a big problem because a lot of these African nations, a lot of their players are representing a lot of their European countries. And I think a lot of African teams feel like they should be representing Africa because I think Africa could have much better teams if their players would have stayed in Africa, would have stayed in their, I guess they're like where they were born or where their parents. And I think a lot of players are starting to choose the countries in Africa that their parents are from. We saw this recently with Iñaki Williams moving from the Spanish national team to Ghana, where his mom is from, where he holds citizenship from. So maybe we'll start seeing a lot of European players that were raised in Europe from African parents starting to represent the country that their parents are from. This might happen with Nigeria, with Eddie Nketiah, or with Hudson Odoi. That might happen. That
well,
might be soon, but
yeah,
we'll see what happens.
we also saw this within Europe itself with the switch from France to Spain for Aymeric Laporte,
Oh yeah, for
who's a
sure.
fantastic player. He used to play at Athletic Bilbao, and now he's at Man City, and he's got a very good international track record. He would have done great at his former national team, but he switched.
Oh
And we're
yeah,
seeing
he's
this.
tough.
Yeah, this is more common now, and we're really seeing it, as you said, with a lot of the African nations, and it really speaks a lot about the immigration and how this moves, how the sport moves across borders. It is not just a confined sport. There are people who play it. They move. They spread the love. They spread the game of football.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. But then, like after that, there was Brazil. Brazil's looking good. Like
Very good.
Brazil seems like they have a good team. I thought the first half was pretty mid. I
I
didn't
was
think
not
too
impressed, but
well. Not impressed with the second half. The second goal by Richarlison was crazy. That was an amazing.
yeah.
I was very surprised by that goal, and Brazil in the end, the second half looked very good. They have a great winger, Vinicius Jr., who's crazy. I I was surprised they didn't play Jesus, who I think is pretty good, but Richarlison stepped up and played a fantastic game. But they completely went off on Neymar, bro. Like that was crazy.
Wow.
Neymar
The
had 10 fouls. Like there were 10 fouls on Neymar. His ankle is so swollen. Like it was crazy. So
yeah.
let's see what happens with Brazil. Do
We've
you think they have a chance of winning it all?
Well, actually, I think they might. I think they might. They've got some very tough competition with the likes of Germany, Spain, even some underdogs that we've been seeing rise up the ranks. But um, I think they have a solid chance. They played very solid in that second half, and as long as they can keep up that momentum that they had in that second half with the attacking chances that they were creating, they have a chance. They have a very good chance. One thing I really wanted to talk about really quickly, um, is that we've seen so many 0-0 draws, 0-0 draws. And the first 9 games of the FIFA of this year's FIFA World Cup, it was a record breaking number of draws, of 0-0 draws. And what does this speak about? What does this say about this year's World Cup? Does this mean that the offsides, the VAR offsides, is working a lot? Does it mean that it's actually damaging the sport of football, or is it just simply that teams are playing more cautious? They don't want their players to get injured. They want to play more defensively. What do you think about this, Mateo?
Well, I think it's a very like there are a lot of factors that come with this. I think first of all the players are exhausted. They've just been playing so much soccer over and over and over again. I think the players are just super exhausted. I also think a lot of managers are playing very defensive football or soccer. Look at the England versus USA game, for example. My opinion, one of the most boring games on planet Earth. The way Southgate plays for me is so
You know,
boring, like
I
so bad.
perhaps England played boring, but I really do not think it was that boring of a game. England did not impress. They did not impress that game. The United States dominated, and frankly, it's going crazy on social media how the United of all these very patriotic fans from the United States, who a lot of them admit themselves that they have no idea what the rules of soccer are, but they just watch the game, they just cheer their country on.
Yeah, they think it should be called soccer instead of football. There's a lot of controversy and a lot of things that game determined if soccer was to be called
Well,
soccer or football.
no,
Like, I
you
was
know, now the U.S. Maintains their unbeaten run against England in the World Cup. The United States has never been beaten by England in any World Cup. Now they maintain 2 draws and 1 win against England.
Nah,
And
but I cannot believe how you feel like that was a like
I,
that was not a boring game. Like
it was
that was
such a good game. It was fantastic, Mateo. You see, they had like an average of 9 shots per team. And I know like none of them went in, but even then I know I'm a big United States fan, but um, I was on the edge of on the edge of my seat the whole time. Like I was not bored. I literally fell asleep during one of the games today. It
all
was
right.
just
Maybe
so
okay. This
boring.
is maybe because I'm more of a neutral, but I did feel like USA and England was like the first of all the way England plays is just so boring.
They play
Southgate
super
out.
holding.
Southgate needs to leave England. He is not a good manager.
Really?
The way he plays is so boring. It bores me. Southgate out. He's a good manager, but that was such a boring game. Like
Southgate out. That's a very bold statement, Mateo.
Southgate out. Yes, I think Southgate was. I think he's a good manager. He did very well, but the way he's been playing is just so boring. He played well against Iran, but against a competitive team like USA, to like barely have any shots on goals. Yes, it's true. I think the attackers weren't having a great game.
I mean,
Kane
they
and
had nine
Saka had
shots.
very bad games. But I genuinely thought that was a boring game by England. And I think if USA were actually good at crossing, they would have won that
Oh
game.
yeah, certainly, and also very good if they were good at finishing because McKennie missed an obvious
Oh my
right there
God.
a
And
volley right for him. He completely missed it. So what do you think about Matt Turner? He played at Fairfield University, actually very near where I am right now. But he played at Fairfield University after only starting playing soccer as a keeper to grow his athleticism for baseball and basketball at age 16. So he joined varsity soccer because they needed a keeper. The first keeper was injured, so he became starter. So what do you think about that? Look at that trajectory. It's super
No,
impressive.
Matt Turner's a beast. Like he one man of the match of the game. He is crazy. He held the goal great. Like he played a great game against England. I think he's a great game. I think he might become starting keeper in Arsenal soon. I think he's a good keeper. He's
Yeah.
tough. He knows what's up. And I think Matt Turner has a big future ahead of him. I like the way he
Mhm.
plays. I just think it would be better if you learn how to like play more like from the back better,
Yeah,
maybe.
he played very risky against
Yeah.
England. You see a lot of very
Yeah.
very
Did
risky
you
play.
see that part where he was like going up on the field? Like
He went up
that was
to
tough.
the middle of the half. It was like yeah, went up like 30 yards.
That
That
was
was it was
impressive
my blood was boiling when he did that. I was really scared that something would happen, but of course it's England. Nothing really happened
for
because
sure. But yeah, that was crazy. I don't know. I think just England USA was just a very, I don't know. I wasn't that entertained, to be
yeah,
honest. But the big game, I think, which was Group A, I thought there was a big game. That was Ecuador, which another
what a
surprise
great
to
game.
me. Ecuador, dominating again,
But
dominating.
they did not manage to score the second. They did not manage to score that second.
And in Valencia is so good. Oh my God.
Uh,
I don't think anyone knew who Enner Valencia was before the World Cup,
no,
but
nobody.
that guy is a good player, scoring all of Ecuador's goals this World Cup. Could he be top scorer? Could he be one of the top
That's
scorers this
three
World
goals
Cup?
in 2 games. Three
Could he be
goals in
one
two
of the
games.
top goal scorers this
Well,
World Cup? I don't know.
you have to really
Maybe.
figure how far does Ecuador get. If they can get to the round of 16 or the quarterfinals, hopefully for them, that'd be very impressive for that entire nation and the football federation. But I think that he's got already 3 goals in 2 games, which is very impressive. He, I mean, and they also had like a lot of great plays. Ecuador played very, very well. They just did not manage to finish. What do you think about that offside goal? People were calling for offside, and the offside was given, but the player who was ruled offside did not actually touch the ball. It was
You
a
know,
clearance, or he
no,
was blocking the view.
we see that a lot these days, actually. Seen it some in some Champions League and some La Liga matches. And I think it's just becoming a rule. I think now if you're just blocking the view of the goalie, that's considered offside. I mean, I guess nothing much we can say. In my opinion, that wouldn't be offside. But I think now the rules of FIFA have changed. So I guess it is considered offside. I think it's a very stupid rule. I don't agree with it, but I guess it's just the way soccer has become and the way that FIFA is changing its rules. And I think it's just starting to get to a point where it's just trying to be the perfect game, like we
Yeah,
saw with
like
Argentina's goal against Saudi Arabia, where Lautaro Martinez's like his half of his arm was offside.
yeah,
Like that's an exaggeration. You're just starting to ruin the game. Soccer, it's not ballet. It's not ballet. It's not like everything has to be perfect. Like there are gonna be some fouls, and we have to be a bit more rough. Like I don't know. I
yeah.
just think it's starting to become a very very soft and perfect sport.
I,
And it has to be super fair. And I don't. I,
mhm.
I just think that that's starting a bit ruin or just change the game and the way it's played. You
Yeah.
know,
Have you
there
ever
aren't
seen
going
the?
to be that many through balls anymore, or it's gonna. You know what's gonna happen?
Mhm.
It's gonna lack creativity.
There's
There's gonna be
yeah.
less creativity.
They
Players
want to
are
wait until there's a chance which is 100% not offside.
Yeah, sports are gonna become less interesting. This is
Mhm.
why there's so many 0-0 games because it's so hard to score or create a chance not offside. Everything is playing offside now, so
Mhm.
it's gonna ruin the game. Players are
Ha-
gonna be
Have you
very
ever seen Have you ever seen the movie Moneyball? I would highly suggest if you haven't seen it. It's basically about playing the sport, not soccer, different sport, but about playing the sport. I think it was baseball through statistics, only looking at the statistics, right? And we see in soccer a lot of surprising victories. If you only went by the probability, right?
yeah, for sure.
Like you're never gonna win.
But I think that's just sums it up. And talking about another game, Argentina versus Mexico, which I was extremely nervous about. Oh my God, that game really had me nervous. Argentina had first half, Mexico put a lot of pressure, a lot of pressure in that game. But they got tired after the first half. In the second half, Argentina took advantage of that. Messi scored a great first goal. That was unbelievable by Messi. You know, he completely beat
Yeah, he was fantastic.
Ochoa. Ochoa, great goalkeeper. He showed him who's boss. And the second goal by Enzo Fernandez was incredible. Like a
Yeah, it was
beautiful goal.
what that reminded me of actually the Saudi Arabian goal against Argentina.
Yeah, and look, Argentina, massive improvement from the game against Saudi Arabia. Maybe the game against Saudi Arabia helped them out. It made them realize, hey, we have to really work hard to win. We know it's not a easy game. It's not easy wins. So maybe the loss against Saudi Arabia actually was good for them.
Yeah.
But we need to win against,
Mhm.
Argentina needs to win against Poland to get through. And let's hope for the best. But I really like the improvement that I saw today in the
Yeah,
Argentine
for
team.
sure. And
Played much better.
well, thank you all for joining us. We hope you had a great Thanksgiving, but we want to leave you with one last thought. So you guys can think about this before our next episode. Is it soccer or is it football? After this incredible draw that the United States managed to pull off to maintain their unbeaten streak in the World Cup against England, is it soccer or is it football? We're hearing a big debate about it on social media and in the American football, soccer world, whatever you guys want to call it. So, what do you guys think it is? Let us know in the comments.